Afternoon, intuitives. Something caught my attention while I was catching up on the politics of today, watching Kyle Kalinski's channel, Secular Talk, my favorite political channel, as I mentioned. And he just posted it not long ago today, a story about Frito-Lay and the strikes that are going on due to the exploitation those workers are facing. And again, it appears to me, in my opinion, that it's more exploitation by the baby boomer ruling class to those of us born after 1964. Now, in this instance, I'm saying that because from what Kalinske reported, that the workers at this Frito-Lay factory are being forced to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for months straight without a single day off. And if you've never done that, you don't understand it. So as always, I try to speak from personal experience. So when I graduated college, I was recruited by Aronimink Country Club, one of the top 100 golf clubs in the United States, and I was hired as a junior assistant superintendent. And we were hosting the AT&T National Tournament at the course that year. So for about 6 months, I was forced to work at least 12, if not 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, most of the time not even getting a lunch break, out performing labor intensive tasks out on the course for shit pay. And then I was promised, oh, you put your time and do that, you'll be set, because all these old timer boomers like, yeah, it's hell being an assistant, but 3 years you'll have your own course, you'll be making six figures, have a company truck and all that company housing. That never came. I was sent to other courses to work numerous tournaments. As I said, when I talk about all I did in my 20s was work, I was working these kind of hours as an assistant superintendent on a course, or I was driving by myself for hours to go to a conference where I was speaking, I was often used to try to recruit people into the industry and to going to my former university in that field. Or I was being sent as an assistant superintendent who worked at a top 100 club who hosted a tournament to another club, because when clubs host PGA events, they bring in a bunch of extra staff, mostly assistant superintendents from other big name, high profile clubs. So I was on a plane by myself going to go work at another club all day. And it was like, oh, you got to travel and all that. Yeah, I got to see the golf course that I was working at, the hotel, and then if I was real lucky, one of the bars near the hotel, if I was lucky. So, as you can imagine, when you're being forced to work those kind of hours, particularly if you're a salary employee and you're not even being paid overtime, your life sucks. Your friendships crumble because you don't have time to talk to anybody. You're always sleep deprived. You're always tired. Your relationships go to hell if you have them. I know mine did. That's the hours I worked in my 20s is a big reason why my love life, in my 20s was non-existent more often than it was. You know what I mean? I know as INFJs we're picky, but if you're always at work, it makes it even harder to find somebody. So, I wanted to do a video in support of the workers who are striking at Frito-Lay and asked everyone who views this videos to boycott those products. I would recommend everybody try to stay healthy and shop at health food stores if possible. Eat organic when you can. Grow your own vegetables, as my grandmother taught me how to do when I was just a toddler, and I do as much as I can. But we all have vices and certain snacks we indulge in. But I would kindly ask if you buy another brand, given this. From what Kalinske reported, Frito-Lay punishes their employees for taking a day off, even for a doctor's appointment. Apparently, you have to earn points to take a day off. And to get 1 point, you have to work 31 days straight, working, I believe, 12 hours each of those days. And not if you call off, like if you say, no, I can only work my assigned shift, I'm assuming 8 hours, and go to leave, they penalize you and use that to to fire you. Like back to my agronomic example. So one of the other assistant superintendents I worked with was a guy who wanted out of the industry. I was 23 when I was hired. So I was 23, 24 during my time there. This guy was 10 years older. And he had just gotten engaged. And he was Jewish. And so was his fiance. And agronomic wouldn't let him leave after 8 hours on during Passover when he was supposed to go, to a Passover Seder with his soon-to-be wife's family. I mean, that's a high holiday. We were there. Some of us were there. Well, actually, it was him and I who worked Christmas Day, just to make sure there was no snow for when, those godly rich baby boomers came down the promenade so they can feel like big shots. But, obviously, yeah, the pagan guy and the Jewish guy worked Christmas Day together. So it's businesses like that, especially in an industry like Frito-Lay, where you're making snack food, or in the golf industry where it's solely a luxury. Nobody needs a golf course. I don't care how much you love golf. Nobody needs it. It is 100% a luxury item. I piss golfers off all the time when I say, is comparison's kind of dated, but I said a golf course is no more important than an amusement park or a video game arcade. It's purely a luxury where you spend time and money. Nobody needs it. It's not like holding over workers like firefighters, police officers, doctors, nurses, in fields where you're dealing with potentially life and death situations, and somebody must be manning that station or manning that hospital at all times. That's a different story. And I don't know for a fact with Frito-Lay, but some of the golf courses I worked at didn't, you were forced to work holidays, which I understand is fairly common, but we made regular pay. Like, I would tell that to my boomer employees, and they'd be like, "Wow, your father worked overtime." My father worked for, if you're familiar with the Philadelphia area, he worked for PECO, which is a utility company. It's the electric company, and he worked in the nuclear power plant. He was basically Homer Simpson. Yeah, that, that was a little side note. I won a costume contest in third grade because I borrowed the only female nuclear reactor operator that was at PECO, and lent me her radiation suit, which looked exactly like the one in the intro into The Simpsons. And given that this was 1994 or 5, and The Simpsons are at its prime, everybody was impressed by that because it was a legit, real deal one too. It was hot as hell, but it was a cool day. But my point being is that this whole snowflake mentality of people standing up for their rights. It's like nobody that's standing up is saying that they're not willing to work hard. It's just you push people to a point where it's like, this is ridiculous, this is inhumane. Why are we being treated like this? Why can't we have the same opportunity as the baby boomers had? Like when I was working at Aronimic, my boomer relatives would say how great it was. And back to the thought I didn't finish, sorry, INFJ brain, about the holiday working. I would say like, oh, I got to work, 4th of July, and I was making straight time. And, my dad's sister would be like, well, your father worked all these holidays. I'm like, yeah, for triple time. There's a difference between working a holiday like it's no different, like it's any other day, when everybody else is at home off being paid, and going in and making 3 times your pay. I would gladly have worked it for triple time, but and all I was really expecting was double time. See the difference there? But to them that's equal. It's like, well, you're not a boomer, so you're lucky we pay you at all. You exist to serve us. We're gods. They don't come out and say that, but my family does. A lot of them regularly speak about the superiority of the baby boomer generation solely based on the year they were born. I'm not sure how that works, but they're convinced of it, as convinced as Scientologists are about L. Ron Hubbard, I suppose. So, support workers fighting for humane working conditions and fair wages. Remember, when people speak up, it helps other people speak up, and that's how change happens. If nobody speaks up, the status quo continues, and the way this country's going, if we don't make major changes soon, we're going to have big problems. We have to undo the damage that the baby boomer generation has done since the 1980s. It's unsustainable. Reaganism is a failed, I should say neoliberalism is a failed ideology. And, just to prove I'm not being partisan, I'm talking both the the Reaganism version and the Clintonism version, like neoliberalism as a whole. And before anybody tries to call me a commie, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm a demand side capitalist, okay? I want to return to the type of capitalism with strong unions that we had from the days of FDR to the days of Jimmy Carter. So if I'm a commie, does that make Dwight Eisenhower a commie? I'm not pretty sure. I'm positive that Dwight Eisenhower was a war hero. And John F. Kennedy for that matter too, and that Richard Nixon was in naval intelligence. So all these guys roughly believed in the same economic ideology I did, and since when did, capitalism didn't begin with Reagan. I don't understand this cult-like and god-like deification of Ronald Reagan. I don't. No one's ever really explained it to me. Voodoo economics. I mean, George Herbert Walker Bush knew it was a crock in 1980, and he was a Republican. And I'm going to work on the lighting too, because I know that these videos are darker than I want them to be, so I might have to find a new room and leave my Duncan Fife where I do my best thinking, my pink Duncan Fife that's over 120 years old. It was my grandmother. She got it as a present on her wedding day in the 40s from a friend of hers who was English, and it belonged to her grandmother prior. And then it was my mother's, and now it's mine. I liked it since I was a kid, and I don't know. I swear I write a lot of my poetry over the years. I know it's pink. I'm comfortable with the fact that it's pink. But back to my main point, I just wanted to give you examples in my life about being forced to work those hours for unfair wages and how it doesn't help you get ahead. All it does is destroy all other aspects in your life, your friendships, your hobbies, your romantic relationships. And I applaud the workers on strike for standing up and saying something and demanding change. And I would hope that everyone who views this video does their small part by boycotting those the Frito-Lay products until this strike is resolved. And if you really feel like a mensch, please, I'll put the link down below again. Please donate a few dollars to SameU. Help raise money for a worthy cause. Help me feel like I'm helping somebody, because that's a big part of who I am. And as you all know, I wrongfully lost my firefighter EMT job, and my story. It's on there, my videos about what happened there. And yeah, that's it for now. Help, and if we continue to help each other and back each other when we demand change, we'll actually get it.